My eyes snapped open, and I was sinking into freezing, pitch-black water. I couldn't swim. My instincts screamed at me to thrash, but the panic only dragged me down faster. Just before I blacked out, a strange, dead silence filled me. No fear, no joy, just a profound emptiness like that of a monk reaching nirvana. I distinctly remembered collapsing on the factory floor at work without warning, then a blur of ambulance lights and the ER. Was this my final hallucination? Let's make a deal, shall we? In the eerie silence, a cold, synthetic voice echoed directly inside my skull. Who are you? I tried to think the words. Me? In the terms of your web novels, call me the system or the administrator. Whatever works. The voice ignored my confusion and downloaded the situation into my mind. My body in my original world was failing, on the verge of death. My soul was currently attached to a man named Caleb Sterling. Caleb was the protagonist of this world, but for some reason, he had been murdered, drowned in this very ocean. The system wanted me to take over Caleb's life and uncover the truth behind his death. If I succeeded, I would be restored to health in my own world. Why me? I asked. I was nothing special, just another cog in the machine, a nobody with bad luck. Because you want to live, don't you? The voice chuckled. Instantly, my soul was yanked back to my dying body in the ICU, the suffocating terror of cardiac arrest gripping me. Make your choice. I'll do it. The sensation of dying was too terrifying. If there was a deal to be made, I'd take it. Good. I'll throw in a bonus. This situation is anomalous. You'll need resources to fight back. Before I could respond, darkness swallowed me whole. When I woke up, I was in a stateroom on a cruise ship. 10 years later, Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. I walked out of the terminal, leaning heavily on a cane, my limp noticeable with every step. Two men who had been waiting approached me. Mr. Stone. The first man extended his hand, his tone steady and professional. I'm Representative Vance. The man beside him followed suit, humble yet maintaining professional distance. Representative Hall. We've been instructed to welcome you, Mr. Stone. We hope the flight was comfortable. They politely ignored my limp, focusing on my face with expressions that balanced sincerity with corporate formality. Mr. Stone, you live up to the reputation. A striking presence. We appreciate you coming all this way. I smiled. You flatter me. I'm just doing a job for the boss. Strictly speaking, I'm just a corporate wage slave. Vance didn't drop his smile, but his words carried weight. Mr. Stone is too modest. You are the plenipotentiary representative for the Sterling Consortium's overseas division. This partnership is critical. You are hardly a typical wage slave. We have high expectations. I hadn't returned as Caleb Sterling. 10 years ago, a Sterling Consortium cruise ship happened to be passing through those waters, and I was pulled from the depths. Since then, I adopted the alias Caleb Stone and worked for the family. The real Caleb Sterling had drowned in that ocean long ago. In the car, Vance sat next to me in the back, enthusiastically briefing me on Seattle's market trends and investment hotspots. Hall, in the passenger seat, chimed in occasionally with key data. I toyed with the handle of my cane, asking casually, I heard the Thorne family in Seattle has seen aggressive growth over the last decade. Their portfolio spans multiple sectors now. Is there still enough room for my investment? Vance's smile remained pleasant, but his tone shifted. You worry too much, Mr. Stone. Seattle has always favored joint development, diversity, and mutual benefit. Monopolies don't fit the market laws here. The hostility beneath his words was palpable. Realizing he might have said too much, he laughed and pivoted the conversation to infrastructure projects, as if the previous exchange never happened. I wasn't stupid enough to press. I had the answer I needed. Now I just had to execute. The rest was standard protocol, receptions, pleasantries. That night, smelling of expensive scotch, I returned to my hotel suite. Kestrel was already waiting. She was an orphan from Southeast Asia, raised as a child soldier until I found her. Since then, she hadn't left my side. She was the only person I trusted with my life. Boss, qu'est-ce que l'on dit me dossier? Detailed intel on Julian Thorne's forces. Changes. I rubbed my temples. Let me guess. Infighting about 3 months ago. Kestrel nodded. Yes, your prediction was accurate. Julian covered it up well, but it was typical. A chamber pot is useful when you need it, but once you're done, you realize it stinks and want to kick it away. Julian had used certain people to build Thorne Corp, and once they were established, he started to despise the dirty work and the people who did it. He stopped paying attention to them. By the time he noticed the internal rebellion, it was too late. You can't cover up a crack that big without leaving scars. Boss, what's the next move? Kestrel asked. No ruse. I'm here as a legitimate investor representing the Sterling Consortium. I took the hangover pill she offered. Tell our media contacts to get ready. In a few days, we start leaking the Thorn Group's dirt. Seeing Kestrel hesitate, I added, speak your mind. You don't need to stand on ceremony with me. Kestrel looked puzzled. Boss, didn't you used to say, trying to bring down a public company with internet gossip is stupid? It is. I grinned maliciously. I haven't just prepared corporate dirt. I've got the family scandals. We go shallow to deep, layer by layer, until we expose the real rot. It's a beautiful 1-2 punch. Kestrel started to speak, but I cut her off. Everything else proceeds as planned. As for the tabloids, start the leaks once I've secured my footing. By the way, I pulled up a photo from 10 years ago on my tablet. I look completely different now. Unless someone looks really closely, no one would know I'm the former young master of the Sterling family, Caleb Sterling, right? Correct, Kestrel affirmed without hesitation. Good. The identity of Caleb Stone needs to hold up as long as possible. I lay back in a hotel bed. Kestrel followed. What are you doing? I asked. Security detail. Sleeping here, she said deadpan. I pointed at the door. Get out. When the door clicked shut, I sighed. That girl had been making jokes like that lately. Where did I go wrong raising her? The cemetery. A fine mist mixed with cold wind slapped my face. I placed flowers on a row of new tombstones, my eyes scanning the names. The original body's parents. His true best friend, Ryan Stone. Ryan's sister, Rain. And the last name, Caleb Sterling. The real Caleb Sterling. Since I survived using Caleb's name, I accept his karma. I bowed deeply. 5 lives. I won't let this go. If you have spirits, watch over me. As if in response, the rain stopped just as I stepped out of the cemetery. The heavy clouds tore open, and golden sunlight poured down, stinging my eyes. Voyager Capital, backed by the Sterling Consortium, officially set up shop in Seattle. Armed with massive capital, I approached various representatives in the city. The money was real, and the terms were generous. They had no reason to refuse. I was the new angel investor. The old foxes praised me to the skies, and whatever I wanted to touch, people lined up to offer it to me. Everything was proceeding methodically. Interesting. The Thorn heir is still on vacation with his wife. I sat in my newly purchased penthouse, listening to Kestrel's report, surprised. I came back as Caleb Stone, not intending to clash directly with the Thorn family immediately. But I've been making a lot of noise. Julian Thorn, the actual ruler of this city, had zero reaction. I hadn't drastically altered my appearance. Rumors were already flying that I looked like the Caleb Sterling who vanished 10 years ago. If my theory about Julian's identity was correct, that he was the mastermind, he shouldn't be sitting still. Julian left with Miss Hall a week before you arrived, Kestrel said. Something about a 9th anniversary global honeymoon tour? They've done this for the last few years. Usually 3 months minimum, traveling the world. I asked, does he know nothing about the current situation in Seattle? I'm making waves. Kestrel answered bluntly. 2 possibilities. 1, he doesn't consider you a threat. 2, he legitimately doesn't know what's happening. Seeing my skepticism, she added, before leaving, Julian ordered his subordinates not to contact him unless it was a dire emergency. Given how ruthless Julian became 10 years ago, the first guess was impossible. The second was absurd. But if you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Someone was helping me. Someone was blinding Julian, manipulating everything from the shadows. Boss, do we continue? Kestrel was smart. She saw my hesitation. Why wouldn't we? I didn't hesitate. Tell the media. Start the leaks. Kestrel looked doubtful. Boss, are you really going to rely on internet opinion to fight the Thorn family? I shook my head. First, I don't expect to topple them with tweets. That's unrealistic. Second, the things we're exposing are backed by hard evidence. It's not slander. You want to force him to come back? Kestrel asked. I smiled grimly. Bingo. If I'm not wrong, Mr. Julian Thorn is a fellow countryman of mine. Where we come from, public companies are terrified of online scandals. If handled poorly, stock prices tank. Kestrel hesitated. Weren't you two fellow Cedarlites originally? And also, she swallowed the words former best friends. More than that. I scoffed. We are old acquaintances from the same sky. Julian, up, up, down, down, left, right? Are you ready to play? Based on the original host's residual memories, my investigations, and the system's cryptic words, I had pieced together the story. If Caleb Sterling was this world's protagonist, the heroine was likely his fiancée, Serena Hall. Caleb and Serena were childhood sweethearts, a perfect match from wealthy families. No drama, just genuine love leading to a college engagement. Julian Thorne, Caleb's best friend, was the classic second male lead. He fell for Serena the moment he saw her in college. But she was with Caleb, so he settled for being the supportive best friend, silently guarding her happiness. Until 10 years ago, everything changed. That year, Caleb decided to marry Serena. In the original timeline, he was a tech genius running a startup. To make time for the wedding, he worked himself to the bone. No one expected the accident. Returning from a month-long business trip, he wanted to surprise her. He drove straight to her house. In the city center, his eyes caught a massive digital billboard. His blood froze. The screen showed Serena in a wedding dress, holding Julian's arm, smiling sweetly, celebrating the engagement of Mr. Julian Thorne and Miss Serena Hall. Caleb was blindsided. Dizzy with shock, he drove to the venue listed on the poster, the Grand Hyatt. He stopped at the entrance, but before he could unbuckle, he looked at the greeters. It was Julian, wearing a perfectly tailored suit, holding a glass of wine, standing there as if waiting for a show. Their eyes met. Julian raised his glass, nodded slightly, and mouthed one word, "Loser." The next second, a truck slammed into Caleb's car. The memory ended there, but my questions piled up. The Grand Hyatt was 15 miles from the cliff where Caleb drowned. How did he get there after the crash? Why did he know nothing of the engagement until he saw the billboard? They talked on the phone for an hour every night. Serena's duplicity was terrifying. My investigation revealed that the day Caleb died, his parents suffered sudden heart attacks and passed away. After the family perished, Caleb's friend Ryan Stone suspected foul play. He tried to investigate. Suddenly, he too had a heart attack while driving, plunging off a cliff with his sister. No bodies were found. Julian's ruthlessness was absolute. Before that year, Julian was known in Seattle as a coward, a soft boy who couldn't speak up. But 10 years ago, his personality did a 180. He purged the Thorne family dissidents with an iron fist. The Thorne Empire's success was built on blood. Whenever a project hit a snag, opponents would suddenly fall ill or die. He didn't kill everyone, just enough to scare the rest into submission. After taking power, Julian pivoted the family business into tech and new media, specifically streaming content. The strange part, he only gave broad directions. He'd say, short-form streaming series, low cost, high return, do it. He ignored the details. When the shows flopped because the scripts were garbage, Julian personally stepped in, live streaming with his wife to act out scenes, using his influencer status to save the project. Julian was obsessed with public opinion. He curated a deeply devoted, down-to-earth CEO persona on social media. Ruthless tyrant in private, fame-hungry influencer in public. A walking contradiction. And those behaviors reeked of familiarity. That's why I was sure he was a transmigrator, a traveler like me. So, I chose to use the internet to bait him. He might not care about operations, but he cared about his fan base. I hoped the shadow manipulator helping me would let this news slip through to him. I didn't care about the manipulator's motives. The system said, find the truth, finish the mission, leave. I used to be a nobody. I didn't have the energy to unravel 4D chess moves. Julian returned to the country quietly. No fanfare this time. That night, I threw my first punch. Voyager Capital was the darling of Seattle. The local tycoons threw a gala in my honor. I accepted, specifically requesting Julian Thorne and Serena Hall be invited. The old foxes grinned, sensing blood. At the banquet hall, I finally saw him. Julian arrived with Serena. He looked rough. He obviously just caught up on the news. The man challenging his empire, looked exactly like the dead Caleb Sterling. He had some composure. He hid the shock and hatred quickly, plastering on a bright smile as he walked toward me. Hey, my brother. He shouted the English phrase in a weird, exaggerated accent, slinging his arm around my shoulder. I heard a Caleb Stone was in town who looked just like old Sterling. I can't believe it's actually you. I brushed his hand off my shoulder. Mr. Thorne, you're mistaken. I am Caleb Stone, not Caleb Sterling. A flicker of arrogance crossed Julian's eyes. His tone dripped with sarcasm. Is my brother still holding a grudge about Serena? Serena and I getting together was a twist of fate. Every year, when I burn incense for you, I pray you don't blame me from the afterlife. He dragged out the vowels, trying to provoke me. I wasn't the original Caleb, so mentioning Serena meant nothing to me. Even if she stood right there, I wouldn't look at her. She disgusted me. He clearly didn't understand the rules of the game. At this level, even mortal enemies maintain decorum in public. His sarcasm wasn't just embarrassing him. It was embarrassing the entire Thorne lineage. But since he was a fake, it made sense. Seeing my calm, mocking stare, he gritted his teeth and targeted my limp. Caleb, look at you. dressed like a human, holding a fancy cane. I bet I can run faster than you now, ah. Before he finished, I slapped him across the face. He flew backward, crashing into a banquet table. Plates and glasses shattered, sending appetizers flying. You talk like that. I slowly wiped my hand with a silk napkin. Because you're begging for a beating? Wish granted. Julian struggled to his feet, face twisted in rage. Caleb, you dare hit me? Kestrel was already stepping forward, ready to engage. I just looked at him and mouthed, "Loser." Surprisingly, he suddenly calmed down. He shot me a venomous look, turned, and stormed out of the hall. "Hey, you forgot your wife." I laughed. "Caleb," Serena finally spoke. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face like a broken necklace. "Caleb, I know you hate me. I am sorry." "Mrs. Thorne, I hope you've been well." I gave a polite, distant smile, then turned my back on her to chat with other guests. Julian stormed back in, grabbed Serena by the arm, and dragged her out. His parting glance was murderous. I knew what he wanted. He wanted to take out the trash. He was probably dialing his fixers right now. He didn't know the weather in Seattle had changed. Officially, the city was cleaning up the gray zones to impress the visiting Sterling Consortium representative. In reality, it was a targeted purge. The men Julian used for his dirty work were specifically rounded up hours ago. They were in custody, separated, unable to coordinate a story. I would have paid to see his face when he dialed his hitman and got straight to voicemail. "What's your next move?" I smirked, signaling Kestrel to release the prepared scandal packages. My spies reported that after failing to contact his crew, Julian smashed up his living room. When he saw his family name trending #1 on X, formerly Twitter, with Thorncore corruption and Julian Thorne fraud, he passed out from rage. This was just the appetizer. I guess he didn't understand how his own company worked. I didn't either, but I had the Sterling Consortium's elite financial team. To destroy Thorncorp, we had to trap their cash. The strategy: exploit Julian's ego. We leaked insider info about massive returns in the Cayman Islands market. He took the bait, dumping huge liquidity into it. The Cayman branch of his company was only successful because the Sterling family allowed it to be. We built a beautiful, shiny trap. Under my boss's orders, the local regulators in the Caymans let Julian's branch cook the books. He saw massive profits on paper, receivables, projected earnings, and thought he was a genius. In reality, not a cent of actual cash could be moved without Sterling approval. It was monopoly money. When his actual CFO warned him, Julian cracked the man's skull with an ashtray for negativity. Julian spent the next weeks fighting the PR war. Lunar Tech, his subsidiary, was launching a revolutionary AI product. He poured the last of his real cash into the launch event to savage the company's stock. The stock actually went up briefly. He celebrated with champagne. He truly didn't understand that bad tweets don't bankrupt a conglomerate. His managers knew, but nobody wanted to get hit with an ashtray. The launch event. Julian wore a white suit, holding a wine glass on stage. He thought he looked like Tony Stark. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future. I am Julian Thorne, founder of Lunar Tech." He presented the advanced algorithm. Then, the accident happened. The massive screen behind him didn't show the demo. It showed a code decompilation. Live, scrolling lines of source code appeared. It was the unfinished code Caleb Sterling wrote 10 years ago. Not just his product. The screen cycled through Lunar Tech's entire catalog, matching the revolutionary code to Caleb's decade-old open-source drafts. The audience, full of tech journalists and engineers, erupted. Julian looked confused. He clearly didn't know what was happening. He didn't write the code. He just stole the credit. I wanted to see despair. I only saw confusion. It was boring. I stood up, leaning on my cane. Before leaving, I looked at him and mouthed, "Loser." Why did his tech team sabotage him? Because the Sterling family bought them out weeks ago. I immediately filed the IP lawsuits. The liquidation began. Investors, who I had secretly coordinated with, pulled their funding simultaneously. Banks called in their loans. The old foxes of Seattle tore Thorne Corp apart like a pack of wolves. Within a month, the Thorne dynasty was erased from Seattle. Interestingly, no one stopped the feeding frenzy. "Boss, your revenge is almost done. Why do you look miserable?" Kestrel asked, seeing me slumped in my chair. "I'm not just miserable. I'm empty." Have you ever trained for a title fight and the opponent trips over his own shoelaces and knocks himself out in round 1? "Got it." Kestrel nodded and dragged me toward the lounge. "What are you doing?" "You're repressed. I'm helping you relieve stress." Her eyes were suggestive. "Get out." I pointed at the door. I was irritable. Julian had fled the country with the remaining cash, leaving Serena behind. He flew to a non-extradition zone in the Caribbean. hoping to access his offshore accounts. I just got the news. Upon landing, he was welcomed by the authorities. It should have been a perfect ending. I proved the truth. A body snatcher caused the tragedy. Julian was gone. But the system hadn't said a word. I remembered the deal. Uncover the truth, and I restore your health in your world. Why hadn't the system come for me? Did I have to live out Caleb's natural lifespan? Boss, Kestrel interrupted my brooding. Serena Hall is in the psychiatric facility. She's screaming to see you. No. I refused. Then I paused, feigning surprise. She remembers me? Sounds like a delusion. Tell the doctors to increase her dosage. Help her recover faster. The old foxes have been thorough. When they ate Thorncorp, they ate the Hall family too. Serena's father jumped off his office building. Her mother went insane. Serena, crushed by the double bankruptcy, snapped. Putting her in a care facility was the kindest option. What now? I asked Kestrel, who looked like she was wrestling with a ghost. Boss, Sebastian Vance arrives tomorrow. We need to leave tonight. She looked like she was about to vomit. I didn't move. Go where? Before she could answer, I said, Vance is coming to liquidate me, isn't he? Kestrel's face went pale. Boss, you knew. Of course. Fate's gifts always come with a price tag. My revenge was too easy. I was just a figurehead, a mascot, a pawn. The Sterling Consortium had been infiltrating Seattle for years. I just gave them a face. Now that the local powers were crushed, the white glove needed to be discarded. I knew this, but I thought the system would extract me before the bill came due. The system was either playing me, or I missed the real truth. Both options led to a dead end. Kestrel hadn't betrayed me. Vance's people approaching her was part of my plan. I thought I'd be gone, so wanted her to have a connection to the new boss. I didn't expect her to choose loyalty to a dead man. Do it, I said calmly. I wasn't resigned because I was weak. I was resigned because I couldn't run. The assistants Vance placed around me were guards. Kestrel started crying. Boss, I can get you out. Canada, Russia. The world is big. Julian's arrest in the Caribbean was a message from Vance. I sighed. He has reach everywhere. You run with me, you die with me. I've jammed the bugs, I whispered. He can't hear this. Do it now. It's your only chance. I can't. Kestrel broke down, hugging me. Suddenly, the office door burst open. Several of Vance's mercenaries, men I had treated well, rushed in. Mr. Stone, go. There's a boat at the docks. We'll stall them. I hesitated. Was this real? Kestrel grabbed my arm. Go. I'll stay and distract Vance. She raised her hand to chop my neck, to knock me out and carry me. But I was faster. I jammed a tranquilizer syringe into her neck. You. She slumped to the floor. Get her on the boat. I told the man. I am staying. The location was an abandoned skyscraper, a project Caleb's father started 10 years ago that stalled after the crash. It was a fitting grave for a ghost. At noon, Sebastian Vance arrived. He was cautious, surrounded by armed guards. I smiled. Battle of the Princes. Winner takes all. Congratulations, Sebastian. You secured the head of the family. You finally figured it out. Sebastian Vance looked different. The polite corporate mask was gone, replaced by the arrogant sneer of a warlord. While you were playing in the mud with that idiot Julian, I was securing the throne. I owe you, really. Your little war gave me the fortune I needed to crush my older brother. Fortune, I muttered. You think you beat Julian? Sebastian laughed. If not for me, you would have drowned 10 years ago. I saved you to harvest your fortune. I looked up. If you wanted my luck, why not kill me then? I wanted to, Sebastian sneered. But the system warned me. My identity isn't native. Taking your fortune directly causes backlash. It told me to make you a pawn. Let you fight Julian. The chaos allows me to siphon the excess luck. He continued, enjoying his monologue. Julian's collapse released massive fortune. By rights, it should have gone to you. But because I manipulated the board, I absorbed it. I am a true winner. I sighed. So I was doomed to lose. Sebastian snapped his fingers. 2 guards dragged Kestrel in. Her hands were bound, her face bruised. She woke up on the boat and swam back. Sebastian mocked. Tried to assassinate me. I envy you, Caleb. A loyal dog is hard to find. He threw her at my feet. I stayed so she could live. I said, let her go. She's a loose end, Sebastian shrugged. Since you came back, I looked down at Kestrel. We died together. Then I looked at Sebastian and held up a detonator. Mister Vance, want to make a bet? Sebastian didn't flinch. You are stupid. Do you know what fortune does? It means bullets miss me. It means bombs are duds. My luck is at its peak. I knew you'd try this. That's why I came. I smiled. I suggest you check the news. You flew straight here. You didn't check the Seattle headlines. As his pawn, I had access to his internal files. The evidence of his illegal takeover, his money laundering, his collusion. I sent it all to the FBI and the SEC an hour ago. Sebastian checked his phone. His face went from smug to gray. How much fortune did you just lose, Sebastian? I asked softly. Enough to stop a bomb. Is your luck still strong enough to protect you? I grinned, my finger hovering over the button. In a blur of motion, Sebastian grabbed a gun from his guard and fired. At the same exact moment, I pressed the detonator. He made the smart choice. If he killed me first, he might regain the fortune. He could fix the legal mess later. We were both gambling. I was gambling with my life. He was gambling with his greed. As the gun fired, Kestrel lunged in front of me. Bang. 12 epilogue. When I opened my eyes, I was in a white void. Congratulations. You are the final victor. The system's voice returned. You have a sick sense of humor, I thought. It was all a game. Me, Julian, Sebastian. We were rats in a maze. You misunderstand, the system said. I guided you to test your limits. The other two failed the character test. You strayed, but you kept the baseline. You didn't hurt innocence. Your final choice, while selfish, trusted in justice. So I passed. I wanted to ask about Kestrel. You are now an official traveler. I will call upon you for future missions. For now, return to your world and rest. Darkness took me before I could argue. I woke up in a hospital bed. I sat up. My body felt light, strong. No pain. The heart condition was gone. The door creaked open. A woman burst in, scanning the room frantically. Her eyes locked on me. She froze, confusion and hope warring in her expression. She walked closer slowly. Boss, she whispered. I realized I wasn't Caleb Stone anymore. I was back in my original body. I looked different. Before I could explain, she launched herself at me, burying her face in my chest. It's you. I know it's you. I patted her head gently. How are you here? She sobbed into my shoulder. After I took the bullet, I thought I was dead. A voice asked if I wanted to see you again. It told me you look different here. It gave me a location and 10 minutes. If I didn't find you, I'd be sent back. I laughed internally. The system's final prank. It dropped her at the door. If I hadn't woken up, or if she hadn't recognized me, we would have missed each other forever. But she knew. Maya, I said, using the name I gave her in this world. She pulled back, eyes shining. I don't have much experience with dating, I said seriously. I'm not sure if what I feel is love, or if what you feel is just gratitude. But do you want to try being boyfriend and girlfriend? See how it goes. Maya's eyes lit up like stars. Yes. Story complete.